Huh?
That's what always happens.
Council? I just have a couple items to give you an update on tonight, and one of them was brought up very briefly. It's regarding the Morgan property up on the West Hill. It's one of those projects that I was thrown into. I'm getting up to speed on it, and I'm going to be putting quite a bit more of my time to it within the next couple of months for sure. I talked with the granting agency. We have a grant for purchasing the property, but it's a 50% match type grant. And I've met with Mrs. Morgan, and we're trying to work out the particulars dealing with the house on the property and how to meet the 50% match portion of it relative to what the appraised value of the property. So I'll be spending more time and setting up some meetings with her to see if we can work out some particulars and how we can meet the match and how we can deal with the residents, because the residents on the property, as part of the assessment of the property, the appraisal is not in that great a shape. However, it is listed in King County as a historic place, so we're trying to work particulars out on that and whether a different agency, not agency, but entity would maintain the house. And they're looking at one of the historical societies in the area. So I'll be focusing time on that. We'll see how that works out. We need to come up with some type of decision by the end of January. The grant amount that we received was in 2009, and they're getting anxious on whether we're going to pull the trigger on it or not. So we'll be dealing with that. The second item, just a quick update. The Planning Commission is meeting tomorrow night, and the main item on the agenda is a code change to the zoning code dealing with accessory dwelling units, and we'll be having some more discussion with that. And the city attorney has given us some feedback on it, and that code change will be brought to the governance committee on December 9th, so they'll get a read of it, and we'll get some feedback from the governance committee also.
That the 9th isn't going to work.
Oh.
You have to find out the committee that night.
Yeah.
December 9th is that
No, it's December 2nd.
Well, it says on this agenda.
Here,
Yeah.
right here, December 9th.
Okay, well, that's a mistake.
So what date is the finance meeting?
December 2nd.
Okay, so we're back on at night. Never mind, we're back at lunch now.
So, are there any questions?
See none? Thank you very much. Community services?
Good evening to everybody. So enclosed in your packet are the numbers for August from the youth and from the senior side. And then, is there any questions on those? Okay. So the power outage, which everybody's talked about, so I'm going to take my 2 cents in, was on Wednesday. We had 36 people come into the centers. 3 families that I'd never seen before came in. The senior center has a gas oven, so we were able to heat the center, boil hot water so we could have instant coffee, hot chocolate, and tea, and I served lunch. People came in to get warm, and they told me it was the best instant cup of coffee they'd ever had, if you can believe that. A little boy came in and told me it was the best hot chocolate he had, and what a great adventure. He was really little, though, so. We were open all day. We served peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for breakfast. Every Wednesday is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We had hot coffee, hot chocolate, and we had dinner more beef stew for lunch. Leanne donated more instant coffee, so if anybody ever has that need. She also donated hot chocolate, fruit for lunch, and 3 different kinds of bread. A family that I never met before came in after they got rid of their caffeine headache with that instant cup of coffee, and they donated tacos and salsa and chips just because there was a need, and they donated. And with the help of Nikki Shunky, she was a great help. We had hot drinks. She followed me around. We kept serving hot drinks, and she helped serve lunch. Stephanie from the police station came over later in the day, and she had gotten a donation for a spaghetti dinner if we needed it, like for the next day. Thank goodness we didn't need it the next day, so we had that for lunch on Monday. Any questions about the holiday bazaar? Not the holiday bazaar.
Storm.
Storm, that's right, I'm sorry, the storm. So my next topic is the holiday bazaar. It was on the 8th, it was a Saturday. Joanne had rented a total of $550 worth of tables. The food sales was, I'm going to do a whole bunch of numbers here. The food sales was $328.50. Expenses for the food was $117.07, which is $90 less than last year. I guess I'm getting more frugal in my days. So the total food profit was $211.43, which is only $30 cheaper than last year, and we didn't have as many people as we did last year. It was too nice. So the total bazaar, which I'm very proud of, was $761.43. That's total profit for both sides. Well, we're splitting it. So our next fundraiser that we're gearing up for, and I'm making cookies for, I probably smell like cookies. Is the tree lady, don't worry, Katie, on Saturday. The sing-along starts at 5:30.
Friday.
Friday.
Are you wanting us here?
Friday. At 5:30. The tree lighting is at 6. The senior center and the youth, we're making cookies, hot chocolate, and coffee as a fundraiser. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any city council members have anything they'd like to bring forward at this time? Anybody jumping up and down? Boards and committees. Finance committee,
We're meeting on December 2nd at 6:30.
okay. Governance committee,
We are meeting on the 9th.
human services, when's our second Tuesday?
Yeah.
Have you looked at the calendar
The
yet?
second.
So the second too?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
That's only an hour.
Because I'm gonna be out of town that day, I'm traveling.
for human,
Yeah. If we wanted to do it before the meeting on Monday, it would work for me.
does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay,
That'll work.
let's do that then.
So at 5:30 on Monday?
Okay,
The first?
thank you.
Thank you.
Public safety committee,
We weren't able to meet due to the storm, so we're going to be meeting on the 10th.
okay, thank you. Public works committee,
First Wednesday of the month, I think it's the 3rd, I believe.
technology committee,
We met,
last Tuesday.
yeah, we met on the 20th, so, a representative from Avidex came down and made a presentation. They're the same company that's done, council chambers for Auburn, they've done Bellevue, they did Puyallup. They presented their, proposal for a new recording system and microphones. They also had, some video, set up in there as well, all portable. So we kind of take a look at that, have some questions Richard's going to take back and discuss. They've offered to connect us with Auburn to go over and do a tour of their council chambers to see kind of what they're looking at. So we're moving along. Hopefully we'll make a recommendation for this year, so to hit up this year's budget. We also looked at backup power for the server. And I think we have a couple questions out on that with Auburn IT. And there's a change of leadership of Auburn IT department, so we'll go through kind of transition there. And then we meet again on December 18th, 5 o'clock in the mayor's office.
Thank you. And Park board, when's their meeting? Tuesday. Tuesday? Okay, thank you. Planning commission, you just heard from Jack, it's coming up, again
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. Huh? Well, I'm not gonna roll. I'm just looking and walking down the list, trying to get through it. Pierce County Regional Council, I believe you and I are, neither one of us are going at this point. Okay. Oh, okay.
There should be a meeting scheduled Thursday, December 5th.
Okay,
I haven't seen the agenda yet, but it's normally the first Thursday of the month.
great. And then we go there. Sound City Association, Mayor Geyer attends that. I don't know if there's backup for her on that, but I don't.
I'm the backup, but I went first.
Yeah. And then skateboard, I know she's also attending that. And the Valley Regional Fire Association, when do we, next?
The meeting was 2 weeks ago on
Yeah.
Tuesday. I was on vacation.
And we did that, and we did the, budget the following Wednesday.
So I'm assuming the budget passed.
Yeah. So, now that's all done. Let's go, talk, ordinance 2014-1882, relating to the raised solid waste. I know we pushed the ordinance down, but back, but I'd like to hear from Waste Management related to the, rate increase. Evening.
Sorry, I just sneezed a minute ago. We're asking for an increase, just on the yard waste portion of the rate to be effective December 1st. And this comes as a request from our partner, Cedar Grove Composting. That's where all of your materials go to that we collect. And they have a $5.54 per ton increase to process the contaminants that they're finding in the yard waste. And I have Susan Tomaine here with Cedar Grove if you had specific questions about that, because she can really give you kind of the background to it.
Come forward.
Come on up,
Yeah.
Susan.
Okay. I'd like an explanation, actually.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me a few minutes. Cedar Grove's been composting organic materials yard waste for about 24 years, and we've been a proud partner of Waste Management. And there'll be a lot of people coming from out of town to visit their relatives in the next few days, and I can guarantee you that a lot of them will leave going, God, you're so lucky you can put your banana peels in your yard bin. So part of what's happening is we've increased what you're able to compost through Waste Management's program. It's bringing along other things we never really foresaw. So now that you can do food with your yard waste in your bin, we're finding people are throwing their eggshells in their produce bags. We're finding that there's stickers on bananas and things like that. So our regulators are also noticing an increase in contamination. So really, Waste Management sent a letter in response to our request. We've had 2 changes in law. One is our permit under the solid waste permit in King County, for the first time ever, limits inbound what we can take in terms of non-compostables. So they limit that to 5% inbound. There's never been a limit before, and that was in December 2012. And then in June of 2014, the state began regulating inbound and outbound product levels for what we could have in there. So basically, we went from a 1% inert level, which we were allowed, to 0.1% for just film plastic for restricted use. So I know all that might be a whole lot to hear, but it's really been a progression of adding more and a higher level of service to support what we all want to compost and recycle here, but also our pioneering and getting it out and making sure that the outbound product is something you actually want to put in your yards and on your veggies and in your landscape. So this is really driven by a change in law and a lot of evolution in terms of raising the service level that we have today that we really didn't have back in 1989 when we started. So hopefully that's helpful in understanding why we're asking.
Member Shade?
I understand what you're saying, but how are you preventing the outbound contaminants? What are you doing?
If you were to visit our plant in 2008, you would see a big sifter. It's like a big tumbler that sifts out different size materials. Attached to that big sifter now are actually blowing systems that put them in cages, literally at plastic cages. And it blows material off the line into cages, and then every time we do better getting the plastic out, we have a much higher disposal fee now, because what we weren't able to use and make compost out of and sell, we're actually shipping to a landfill and paying landfill rates for it. So when you add in all those economics, in addition to the equipment and things, our cost to do this at the level we do it has gone up significantly.
Any other questions? Council?
So all the letters I'm reading say that the rates were supposed to take effect September 1st.
I'll let you have the read.
So what's,
So actually, we were looking at a change December 1st, because I know this is something that's been kind of pushed, and so that's why the letters are old, but we've just never gotten it here to this point, so.
so were the letters actually sent out in August to the mayor?
Yes.
Because that's a concern I have on the solid waste committee, is that we never received copies of them. Not that, you know, they weren't addressed to us, but, obviously we're under in this negotiations, and it would
Right.
be nice to have this information so that we can have accurate fee schedules that we're trying to negotiate.
Yeah.
And that would have been helpful.
Quite honestly, it really shouldn't affect too much what we're discussing with the new contract.
Okay.
So, question for me is, this is just for informational purposes, because it isn't passed on directly from, I'm assuming, your waste management, the fee, the increases.
Right, exactly.
Any other,
I'm just confused because it's like two different things were bundled into one ordinance, and I had questions concerning this ordinance about the, unlawful to collect yard debris.
that's why we pushed off the ordinance so that,
But it sounds like we need the rate increase.
well, the rate increase is automatic. That comes from the
No, this particular request for the increase on the yard waste, only is with your approval.
We have to approve it.
So, Rich, so your hand go up, or?
Yes. When you decided to not hear this ordinance, well, I know that it's going to be a little bit of a bother for our attorney, because all rate increases have to be codified. And they have to be in the city code by ordinance before it goes into place. And we have put this rate out so it could start November, because we had to give 45 days notice. And that was the reason for the delay. And then Waste Management said it works better for us to do it December 1st. So I think, that's where I think there's a little bit of misunderstanding of what this is and what the negotiations are about the other rate increases. They are separate, but all rates have to be in the city code related to whatever it is, utilities, you know, sewers, I mean, everything, including waste management.
Well, the concern I have with, and why I was one of the people that did not like this ordinance as written, is because there's language in here that I don't agree with at all, and it's not got anything to do with the rate increase.
It's not
Why
consistent
didn't,
with what we're doing.
why didn't the city bring a rate increase ordinance only? And instead of adding additional language in here that's, some of this is related to contractual, you know, that we were negotiating, as well as some of the stuff that I don't necessarily agree with either. So just to push an ordinance through with language that I find there's some concerns with, just to pull in a rate, we should have separated the two, and then just brought forward a rate ordinance change. But that was my, now, if we need to, why can we separate the rate, maybe have a special meeting, you know? I mean, that's a possibility.
Right, I can certainly have Carol come out next Monday to the meeting if we want to do that. I'll talk to her tomorrow. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think we can do that, because that's when the rate actually goes into effect. So I'll contact her tomorrow, because I hear what you're saying. Some of the verbiage in there you don't like, the contractual language. And I'll, you know, let's talk afterwards, and we can go over that.
Just a statement, it's my issue, and why I wanted to push the ordinance off is because the language in it isn't consistent with what our current practices are. Right now, we have subscription services, and the language over here requires mandatory service, and we haven't determined that yet. And so, without that determination, just to pass this to get the rate increase through, I think places a burden. While I know Carol has said her goal was compliance, and that we don't have to enforce, I don't like putting our staff in a position where they're not enforcing something that we've passed, when our intent wasn't to go that direction. And And so I agree with John that I'd like to see maybe us ask the rate increase at the next meeting, at a special meeting, with Carol's presence and a little bit of stuff, and then we can address this. I'd rather address the ordinance after we've negotiated a new contract as part of a bundle in that.
Well, I had an issue with it, you're not allowed to compost, it says that in here, you can't.
There's a lot of that as well.
I think that one has been
Where?
removed in the
It's
paper version.
in the paper version that's updated.
Oh, okay.
A lot of it's been stripped out, but there's still some issues that aren't consistent with current practice.
All right, so it
That
sounds
was
like we're
my
gonna
issue.
try some,
Yeah, I apologize, I
that's
haven't,
fine.
so,
I just wanna make sure that
Yeah.
we get the rate through that we need, but separate it from the other issues that we have,
okay,
so.
absolutely. And we can discuss further, like, language in the new contract that we're working on too. So I haven't seen the ordinance, so I apologize there, but, yeah, this is just about the rate increase on the yard waste portion.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for adding it back onto the agenda tonight.